What's up, guys? It's been a while since I've done a video. Have not been doing good at recording things because I've gone ahead with some stuff. And the reason it's been a while since I have recorded a video is because there are some issues. And that's what this video is going to be about. It's just really kind of explaining what's gone on with the DURAMAX and kind of the whole build in itself. At this point, I don't know if this is going to be a viable engine to use for this build. I'm not saying a DURAMAX isn't a viable engine to use for this build. I'm just saying that this particular one is probably not viable, and here's why. I set the engine up to do a compression test. Had my friend come over who is a GM tech and help me set everything up. And although the engine turns over well, this cylinder right here I think had 10 psi after we corrected the mistake of me not putting in my injector seal correctly, or just forgetting one of the little copper washers completely. That was 10, that was 100. I think on this side I was maybe 100, and then 3 and 400 where I was supposed to be, and then over here I want to say I was 3 and 400 where I was supposed to be. So basically all the front cylinders aren't making fantastic compression. Is the engine rebuildable? Yes, for sure it is. The bottom end rotates just fine. Probably the compression issues are going to do with, I mean, as you can see, the rest of this engine is just kind of trashed. It's been sitting out. It is not what I was told it was as far as when I was buying it. Could need rings, not 100% sure, but what I am pretty sure of is I don't think, if you look, I don't think our valves are closing all the way, and I'm losing compression through the valves. So it would need head work for sure on both heads, and then just to be safe, probably a set of rings, just so I don't have to go back after I do the heads, find out still not making compression. A smart thing would be to do is just tear it down, put a set of rings in there. That's where the problems start coming in. To pull the head off one of these trucks instantly cost me $600 for a GM set of gaskets and just GM head bolts. You're looking at about $600 for like the whole setup, gaskets and everything to do a head job on one of these. Now let's say I put the head back on and I'm still having a compression issue and I take the head off. Well, once those GM bolts stretch, you're not really supposed to use them again. So you want to do ARP head bolts. ARP head bolts you can reuse apparently. But ARP head bolts and gaskets are $1,200 to basically, do a head job on one of these. Then we start talking rings, actual head work on this thing. The fact that I'm still missing the wiring harness, the ECM, the TCM. I don't know if this transmission is even good over here. I was gonna have to get this thing bead blasted just so I could get this tab re-welded back on, get it re-tigged by a friend, but he said it's gotta be clean. What I do know is if I turn the yoke back here, well, maybe I pulled it out of gear. I know at one point I had it to where when I turned everything, it was at least turning. I don't know where that is now, and I don't even know if that's really a viable test to do on this thing. But basically, I don't know if that's good. This thing is going to cost a fortune to redo. I don't know if the fuel system's good. I went through and I cleaned up all the injectors, which are laying around here somewhere. Oh, here we go. So here's all the injectors that I went through and I cleaned up, but now the internals of the injectors are not clean. So, yeah, they look good on the outside. I have no idea what the insides of those things look like. So you know, injectors, that's probably about $3,000 for a set of Bosch injectors. If the fuel rails are bad, that could be about 500, I want to say, dollars per rail. And then if this pump is no good up here on the front of the motor, and that's another $1,000. So I mean, we're talking big numbers here. We're getting into, by the time I get done cleaning this thing up, rebuilding it where I feel like it's a safe build that I can, drive cross country in, hoping that transmission is good. I'm not going to have to do a rebuild on the transmission. We're kind of talking about an $11,000 engine. So we're getting into, why not just throw an LS in it? I have experience with LSs. The red truck had an LS. I could go to a junkyard. I could pick up an LS with a transmission, with all the computers, with the gas pedal, with everything, with probably about 80,000 miles for maybe $3,000, depending on which one I get. Maybe $4,000 if I bump up to like a 6-liter. And I could throw a little bit of money at it here and there, clean it up, put rings in it, put head studs on that thing. I could do a lot with an LS. And probably be in the $7,000 territory, almost running in the truck, especially because I already know what swap parts I need. I already know the motor mounts that I would use. I already know what exhaust setup I would do. I already know that stuff. Where all this diesel stuff, I mean, we're talking a whole bunch of money on this, and we haven't even got into all the stuff that's going to, allow me to delete all the EGR and all the piping. Getting rid of this Y bridge for an aftermarket Y bridge to clean all this stuff up. I don't know if the diesel's turbo is good. Even for a remanufactured or a cleaned up rebuilt turbo, you're talking $1,200 for that. And my turbo is sitting over here. It turns, but I have no idea, I guess, what the status of any of this stuff is. And I don't know if I want to risk the money doing the diesel setup. I mean, I do want the diesel. Of course I want the diesel. Of course I want the power, especially for the weight of the truck. That would really be the way to go. That would, but if an LS is much cheaper so I can get this thing on the road in a reasonable amount of time, maybe I should go that way. And that's really what this video is about. I'm about 2 months off from having the money to do this build. I get a certain amount of money at the end of the year that allows me to do things like this. And that's when what I was going to do to pay for all this, for this build. So the question of this video is, and probably there's going to be a lack of content for 2 months if this goes sideways on me, because I don't really have any money to do anything with this thing aside from clean it up so I can get stuff in my garage. Diesel or LS? Should I stick with the DURAMAX, or should I move on with a LS to try to get this thing on the road in a reasonable amount of time? The other thing that the LS would allow me to do is save more money for the Alcoas that I need. The tires that are currently on the truck, although they have good tread, they're pretty dry. Should I do the LS so I can put more money towards buying, instead of 22 to 24 inch Alcoas, and doing the other stuff that needs to happen in the truck to drive, versus just blowing a ton of money on trying to get this thing running, and like I said, just trying to get it running to where I trust it. I want to be able to take my family out in it. I still need an air conditioning system, a compressor. I need a lot. And I just feel like this thing is looking like it's going to take away from the rest of the build trying to get this running. So what are your opinions? I know there's only about 56 of y'all currently, but you can just leave them in the comments below. LS or diesel? Where should I go? Should I save? Should I spend? Should I make this project take an extra year just to get it running? What do you think I should do? Definitely leave a comment. Like the video if you enjoy the content, which there's not a lot of currently. Subscribe to the channel. Hopefully after the beginning of the year things will get a lot better. That's when I'm going to have money to start making some moves on some parts and hopefully really get things going. But either way, I appreciate y'all guys watching. Like and subscribe on the video. Appreciate it.